I am your hostess, Ronette Branham, here to offer biblical strategies for effective teaching. And we want to be effective in everything that we do. So that brings us to this episode of Kingdom Principles on Financial Stewardship. I have a guest here today, so I want to let you know what we're talking about, and then I'll introduce our guest for today. So, being good stewards over God's money, we want to be effective again in everything that we do, including our finances. So, we're going to discuss what biblical financial stewardship is. Biblical financial stewardship is the care, management, goal setting, and increase of God's money. That brings me to so many scriptures right there. Everything God gave us, He expects us to manage it and take care of it. He gave it to us with specific purpose in mind. According to James 1:17, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. Every good and perfect gift comes from God. Our minds, health, bodies, talents, material possessions, relationships, children, and yes, money. We are to manage what God gave us, grow it, maintain it, so that we can grow God's kingdom. If you are the chief financial officer over His kingdom, you are, not if, we are the chief financial officer over His kingdom. His kingdom has many empires. The empire that you are in charge of is over your own individual money and economy in your household. With that, I'm going to introduce our guest. We have
Stacey Sweeny. Hi, everybody.
Sorry
I'm so happy to be here. I'm gonna share this screen. I'm gonna share a PowerPoint with everyone.
How are you today, though, Stacey? I messed that up. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. And I want to say thank you for allowing me to share your platform with you to speak to people about kingdom principles on biblical financial stewardship, because it is important. It is, we pray for God about wealth and money, but God is not going to give it to us unless we know how to manage it and understand what our responsibilities are to manage the wealth and money that He's going to give us. So I'm here to share with you guys. This is the Bible verse you read earlier. Every good and perfect gift comes from up above, with James 1:17. Now we want to talk about kingdom business and worldly business, and they're so close together. Looking at this PowerPoint. So let's look at the kingdom business and the worldly business and the different models that we have. So in kingdom business, you have the president, the CEO, the owner, the investor, which is God. Worldly business, you have the same thing, but it's ran by a man or a woman, right? It's ran by people. And, Jesus was the price that paid. That was the price that was invested, that God, the CEO, the investor, invested using the death of His Son. And man and woman in worldly business, the investor is going to invest cash for you because you don't have it, right?
Right.
Okay, so now every investor requires some percentage of equity that they're going to make from part of that investing in you, right? Now, God had already set the equity for us, which is 10%.
Okay, yeah.
God gets 10%, we keep 90%. Worldly business, you can go from 3% to 50% or even higher, the investor. And, the investee, you get the difference from that. So when we look at what the investors get in kingdom business, God, the investor, you're going to get resources, you're going to get mentoring, you're going to get communication, you're going to get connections, access, accountability. You're going to get help. You're going to get downloads. All this stuff you get from God.
Absolutely.
And being the investee of the worldly business, it requires your labor, your commitment, discipline, your due diligence, your 10%, that you're supposed to give them the equity. and your faithfulness. I mean, look at the worldly business, pretty much the same thing, but the resources and everything that we get is on a greater level. When you look at the investee on the worldly business, it requires your labor, your commitment, your discipline, your due diligence, a percentage of the investment in your faith. It requires the same thing. That's the difference, though. When you mess up in a worldly business with an investor, they're not messing with you anymore. No. They're done. And not only that they're done, they're going to make sure not anyone else mess with you either.
Absolutely.
You don't get another chance. God has already chosen you. You're his royal priesthood. And you can look at that in 1 Peter 2:9. But when we talk about godly business, before we get into the principles, we need to first talk about the prerequisite of that. And it starts with our transformation of our mind. This is actually one of my favorite Bible verses. So, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. That's the key, the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect of him. So we have to transform our minds. And that's the prerequisite of this. Everything starts in the mind.
Yes.
Because the mind is actually more valuable than the heart. Paul says, guard your heart and mind daily. But the reason why, to me, the mind is more important than the heart, because you can be brain dead, but your heart is still pumping.
Yeah.
But it can't move the body. It can't move the vessel that God gave us. It's just laying there pumping blood around a vessel that can't move.
Right.
Nothing's moving but the blood, the pump, the heart pumping the blood around the body. That's the only thing moving in that vessel. So what good is the vessel if it can't move, speak, talk, do action? What good is it?
Right. It's not.
Right, because the brain is dead, right?
Right.
So the brain is more important. If the brain is dead, what's good of having the vessel? That might as well go too.
Right. And then you can't even think because your heart is not thinking. I mean, your heart has emotions tied to it, but you can't think.
Right. Like, the mind tells the body what to do. The mind tells your eyelids when to blink. The mind telling you to breathe. The mind, and the devil can put things in our mind. And when we harp on it long enough, it gets into our spirit and feelings and actions come behind it. So before we even start getting into the principles or start doing the actions of these principles that I'm going to share with everybody, you first have to pray and ask God to prepare you and transform your mind and way of thinking, because to apply these principles, you're not going to be successful with your own way of thinking about money and wealth. Okay, so when we talk about, I want to get into things that we have to unlearn. We have to unlearn how you use credit cards and relearn credit card utilization. Credit is a great thing, but people don't use it right.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that later, but it's called OPM, other people's money. You use other people's money to gain wealth. And when I'm talking about other people's money, that doesn't mean borrow money from your friend or relative to pay your bill. That's not what I mean.
That's definitely using their money, though.
That's not what other people's money mean. We refer to financial institutions, like financial institutions that gives you credit cards or loans and stuff like that. But I'll go into that later. How you spend money and relearn how to increase money earning potential. How you save money and relearn how to save money. Unlearn how you budget money and relearn how to budget and plan. Unlearn how you make money and relearn increasing wealth that works towards your financial freedom. Unlearn your thoughts on home ownership and obtain home ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Unlearn your thoughts on retirement and prepare for retirement. Unlearn your thoughts on life insurance or final expenses and relearn having life insurance and final expenses. And there's the wealth use life insurance to bank themselves. That's another lesson in itself.
Yeah.
If you want to live wealthy or want to obtain wealth, whatever your measurement of wealth is, to me, living wealthy or financial freedom is to be able to do the things you need to do the things you want to do with the money that it requires without stress.
Right. Yes, that's financial freedom.
Financial freedom.
Yes.
You're not thinking about leaving an inheritance for your children's children, so that means your grandchildren, but how to leave an inheritance for your children's children. And God talks about that in Proverbs 13:22. These are the requirements that we're supposed to do. We're supposed to leave an inheritance for our children. That means our grandchildren.
Right.
I'm not required to leave an inheritance for my children. I'm supposed to train them in a way that they should go. And when they go, they won't depart from it.
Mm-hmm.
So that means my children are required to leave an inheritance for their grandchildren, which would be my great-grandchildren.
Yes.
All of it is not supposed to be on me.
Yeah, right.
And so when you start imparting those skills and principles in your children and they do it to their grandchildren, I'm doing it to my grandchildren, that's the generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping up with the Joneses instead of keeping up with yourself. Stop keeping up with the Joneses. Learn how to keep up with yourself.
Right.
First. And skills that unlearn how to rob from Peter to pay Paul, but learn money management. So these are the things we need to learn and apply. So let's get into the principles. We're going to talk about the first principle, which is giving. And God, that's the very first thing. If you're not giving of your tithes, you're offering your first fruit and your almsgiving, God is not going to bless you because God said you're robbing from him. Yeah. You didn't, if it was in a worldly world, you make sure you give that investor that invested in you for, the bank gets their cut. Right. That's called interest. Yeah. That's how they make money off of you. You make sure you pay them, but you won't pay God. Yeah. So the different forms of giving, tithes, God only requires 10% of your tithing. Offering, we give an offering, free will offering that we give to the church. That is of your free will. You sowing seeds of money. The more seeds you sow, the more of the harvest you will grow. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to repeat that again. Sowing seeds of money. The more seeds you grow, the more seeds you sow, the more of a harvest you grow. Okay. So there's some Bible verses I got with that. Galatians 6:7, Acts 20:35, and 2 Corinthians 9:6-7. You can read Galatians 6-7. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that he will also reap. That's what God said. You sow a seed, you're going to reap it. It's going to grow. Long as you taking care of it, right? Sow it in good soil. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Seeds grow in certain type of, you have to know what seed you're sowing and know how to sow it for it to grow too. Yeah, I was listening to someone say about that. Wow, people, you know where it says some 40, some 50, some 100-fold. I heard someone speaking about that, and then it made so much sense where you're trying to get 100-fold seed from something that doesn't give 100. So we get upset when God didn't give it back to us 100-fold, when it might have been something like if you sow corn, for every stalk, you get one cob, one from every stalk. Right. But there's other things that will grow many seeds, many flowers, or whatever from that seed that you sown. So that is something that I got from that.
being just say I'm sowing money to uh um and and a person, just say that doesn't mean I'm going to get that same money back. That doesn't
It
mean.
doesn't mean, but
Yeah.
like God, all right, and also when I talked about, sowing the right seed, don't sow grudgingly.
Yeah, yeah.
You like, how would you like it if someone threw money at you? Here,
Mhm.
take it.
Yeah. Or
Throw
you feel like
it
you
back
have to.
at them and like, I don't even want it.
Yeah.
But in 2 Corinthians 9, 6 through 7, it says, but this I say, he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. So
Hmm.
let each one give as he purposes in his heart, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver.
Yeah. Yeah. We trying
God
to
loves
get.
a cheerful giver. Some people sell a large portion and want to show off and like,
Uh-huh.
I'm giving like $1,000 and want everybody to know that and this and that. God doesn't like where your heart is.
Right.
And the one that sold the dollar is going to get more
Yeah. Yeah.
because of the heart. So you gotta give your offering, your first fruit offering. This is usually give at the first of the year. Like
Mhm.
first fruit are given once a year or is for every new blessing you receive. So Proverbs 3, 9 through 10 says, honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first fruit of all your increase, so your barns will be filled with plenty and your vats will overflow with new wine. And Proverbs 21:20 says, precious treasure and oil are in a wise man's dwelling, but a foolish man devours it. So,
Yeah.
if you've gotten blessed with extra increase, give some to God because the increase came from him. You're
Right.
going to also give your 10%, but the sowing or the first fruit, give it to the church or something.
Hmm.
Now, almsgiving talks about giving to the less fortunate that's in need. And I got some pictures here. You get this was with my local Atlantic City Education Association. This was a couple years ago on Christmas Eve. Was it? I think it was Christmas Eve. You could see we were out there giving to people. We were giving them coats and it was the gift of warmth, we titled it.
Okay.
We gave, and it was also collaborating with my church, Living Word of Faith Church, with our Bishop Luke A. Witherspoon II, and some co-workers of mine over at New York Avenue School. And of course, we see our then president at that time, PJ Dollard of ACEA, and give to the needy, give to the poor. There's a lot of people, celebrities that may not go to church every day. And there are people that don't go to church at all. But one thing they do honor and knows that giving, you get back.
Yes, you know how many people I hear. We've been reading books, entrepreneurial books. They all, every single book that we've read in the past, I don't know, like once a month we read a new book. And every book they discuss giving and giving back. And that is something, gratitude and giving. Every single person.
You could give your time.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to say, I don't got any money. Give your time.
Right.
Somebody time. Go to the store for an elderly person. Go check on somebody. Go to the hospital and read to someone.
Right.
The second principle we get in talks about wealth management. Okay, so you have to learn how to manage God's wealth, the money he gives you. You can't like devour it and mess it all up. So it deals with financial planning, budgeting, saving, credit, consistency, discipline, organization, counsel, wisdom, responsibility. So much goes into this principle too. Now, know where your money goes.
Right.
Track your money. Know where it goes. How do you spend your money and what do you spend your money on?
Mm-hmm.
Do you spend it more on wants than needs? Are you an emotional spender? You get upset and so you got to go shopping.
Yeah.
Get happy and you got to go shopping.
When I was like in my 20s, I used to be an emotional shopper. But I always now I don't know how much you can take things back, but then I would take it back because I just had to buy
Right.
it.
You know, you
And I would
didn't
take it
need
back.
it. Is your spending an addiction or a habit? So
Yes.
you got to know the difference between those two. Do you know how much your habits are costing you?
Oh yeah.
So let's look at habit versus addiction. A habit is done by choice. The person with the habit can choose to stop, will subsequently stop successfully if they want to. You know, it's habit that you always do something, but if you made up in your mind that you're going to try to stop doing it, you could choose to stop doing it, you know. The psychological, physical component is not an issue as if it was an addiction. Addiction deals deeper, is more psychological and physical component. The person is unable to control the aspects. So we do have people that are addicted to spending money. And, you know, if you have an addiction with that, that's when you have to seek professional help to help you. First, God is your first source of help. And he will help you, and he will line the people up that you need to talk to on earth to help you through the process. Put simply, with a habit, you are in control of your choices. With an addiction, you are not in control. So do you know how much your habits are costing you?
Yeah.
And I put some things on here that we're all familiar with this stuff. Amazon, I love my Amazon. But I don't have an addiction. I can control my money. So when I want to treat myself to something on Amazon, I treat myself. Wawa's, Dunkin' Donuts, coffee. You know, your body said that's like an addiction too, because your body's addicted to the caffeine.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a process to slow that down. But my husband, we got a coffee maker. Why you still got to go to Wawa every day? Now that's a habit when you could have made coffee and put it in your travel cup, you know?
And it's cheaper, less expensive.
It's cheaper, less expensive. This is a sample of an expense tracker that I use. You know what? I think it's an idea for people to just use something like this. You can get it online for free, but just write down for a whole month, track every dollar you spent, every cent you spent, just to get an idea of how much money you spent in a whole month. And you will see how much money went to Wawa or ShopRite or, you know, like Dunkin' Donuts. I gave Dunkin' Donuts $400 this month. We don't really know how much we be given
Right.
that we go to every day, because our brain is not an Excel sheet that's calculating every time I go to the store and spend money. It's saying, Stacey, now you done spent a total of this amount since January the 1st. It's not doing that.
No.
It's your brain is just registered. No, it's only $2.
Yep, that just like that.
But here are some scriptures everyone can follow. Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication. With thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. And here's some more. Matthew 6, 31 and 35. Matthew 6, 19 through 21. These are things you guys can write down the Bible verses and look them up. Proverbs 12, 15. The way of a fool seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice. Get advice. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Do you love money? So Hebrews, keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have. For he said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And in 1 Timothy 6 and 10, for the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money. Money is not evil.
No.
We need money.
Yeah.
It's loving money. When you love money more than anything, you make money your God. And that's a problem. So we also want to look at good debt and bad debt. You know, good debt is really generates income, increases net worth, and leverage wealth, lower interest rates, and increases value. When we get to bad debt, it does not require assets and use, you know. So that's something we're going to go over when we get to, because there's going to be a part 2 in this, everyone.
Right.
And in part 2, we're going to really get to the nitty gritty of, I know Ronette already has a video on budgeting. So you guys can revisit that. So I'm not going to really do budgeting, but I'm going to dig into credit. And that's a big thing that a lot of people want to understand. So principle 3 talks about investing. God says, invest in 7 ventures, yes, and 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. And that's in Ecclesiastes. If you had did principles 1 and 2, when the pandemic hit, you've been making money.
Yeah. I never read that scripture.
So he said, invest in a lot of different investments.
Right. I've been investing, but I never read that scripture right there. That verse. I haven't. Okay.
I'll talk more about that when we get into part 2. But here's ways to reach me. I have a Facebook page, is, Facebook Wealth Elevation Building. If you go to Facebook, type in search Wealth Elevation Building LLC, you'll see me. TikTok, I'm at Mimi Sweeny. And Instagram, I'm at Stacey_Mimi. That should be an / Sweeny.
Okay.
If you want to know what your credit score is, you can go to my link, Smart Credit /Wealth Elevation Building. That's www.smartcredit/wealthelevationbuilding.com. And if you want to find out what credit services I can offer you to help you with your credit, this is my website, www.ucesprotectionplan.com. Or you can just text me and I'll send it to you if you can't remember.
Okay. What's the last one?
And the business building, if you want to make and earn extra money, myuwe.net/member benefit. I have to text you that as well. But Ronette's going to have all the stuff listed when she uploaded in YouTube. All the links are going to be there. Even my e-business card is going to be on there, so you guys can all have it. So I want to say this is the end for right now, but we're going to be having a part 2, Ronette. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. You know how you know certain things, and then when someone brings it back to your your memory, it's like, yeah, I do that, but I don't do that, or I used to do that. And
right.
This is so helpful.
But I'm going to hold this up again so people can see my links.
Your links,
while you're talking. So go ahead.
Yeah, because we need to understand our credit, our investing, our managing money. This is, and how to give. Why are we giving? We think, okay, we go to church and someone says, we're taking up an offering. We don't know why we give. We give because somebody told us to. You grow up like that. But once you put it to a biblical principle of why you give, this is the will of God, and why it's the will of God, how he protects us through that. I mean, I love this course. This is a course.
Yeah, if you're praying, ask God to, give you more money to help you out of debt and everything, you have to trust God at his word. Right. God will help you manage your money. And, stop robbing and stealing from him. God says in the Bible, you rob from me, offerings, tithes and offerings. Give him his percentage that's owed to him, just like you give everybody else. The banks take their percentage. It's called interest rate.
The government takes it, but you don't even get
it. The government take it. Everybody takes it. I'm blessed to say that I pay my tithes faithfully. I give my offering, and so me and my husband and our children are blessed.
Yeah,
because I walk up in righteousness as far as when it comes to doing what I'm supposed to do. And paying my tithes and all those different offerings that I spoke about earlier.
Yes. So again, Stacey, I thank you for coming. This is awesome. I look forward to part 2. I can see 2 weeks from today. I don't know if
Yes,
that's up to you, but I can see
that's
2
great.
weeks.
2 weeks from today, guys. I'm sure Ronette will keep you posted with the date on that. Also, like I said, revisit the video she did on budgeting, because that's going to help you with Principle 2. That's part of Principle 2.
Yeah.
And it's just stay tuned, guys. If you haven't had a chance, there's my information. It will be posted on the YouTube page for you guys to just, when you go to watch the video, then you can finish and click on and see, you know, take a look at your credit score. You'd be shocked.
I
What
know.
it is.
Yeah, and it goes up and down.
It's only $1 to pull your credit score of all 3 credit reports and your score from all 3 credit reports, and to see your 3 credit reports is only $1 if you go to my link.
Oh, okay. All right. So again, everybody, thank you, Stacey. And that again, that's Stacey Sweeny, and she's coming to us with our financial principles, stewardship. And thank you for tuning in. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Have a blessed day.
Bye, everyone. Be blessed.